As you flip your calendar to 2026, a clean slate awaits you. A new you is begging to be etched by the day. Join me for a glimpse into the future. I'll draw out our collective experience as felt by the individual and then share more specific predictions for your sign. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, November 11th, 2025 to March 10th, 2026. Jupiter is where we see luck, abundance, opportunity, and expansion, but in retrograde, it's like a course correction on your trajectory, causing you to turn inward. You're looking at your life and your choices, evaluating whether your beliefs and growth align with your vision. In Cancer, you might ask yourself questions like, how do I take better care of my loved ones? I've been taking care of everyone else. Have I taken care of myself? Do I depend too much on facts instead of trusting my gut? Am I ready for more responsibility? Do I have the capacity to nurture? Neptune officially enters Aries on January 26th up until May 21st, 2038. Those seeds you planted last spring that seemed to stall this fall and winter, it's growing season again. Spring and summer 2025 was rife with possibility and opportunity. It's hard to concretely explain, but you felt like you were going somewhere with your ambitions. Your reality was no longer the mirage for which your desperate subconscious prayed, but was instead the materialization of years of neurons creating scenes that only existed in your psyche. You manifested and grasped, only for it all to dissipate on October 22nd, as if it were fiction. Uranus direct in Taurus on February 4th until September 10th. After spending time in reflection on the values that bring you freedom, you now feel ready and called to apply them over the long term, as Taurus does not prime you for overnight stardom. Saturn returns to Aries on February 13th up until April 12th, 2028. This is the perfect energy for buckling down and getting things done. You'll feel more responsible and able to carry yourself with self-discipline. The solar eclipse in Aquarius is on February 17th, 2026. New beginnings or fated encounters may happen in your community. A sudden desire to be more charitable and generous, as the moon is also conjunct Venus on this day. You may feel an irresistible urge to rebel against norms in personal style or love, which people find attractive. You may also experience a burst of innovation and notice that things happen in a rather unorthodox sequence of events. However, the moon is squaring Uranus on this day, possibly causing you to second-guess your ideas. This rebellion is fueled strongly by emotion. Something that has been stewing inside you for a long time will burst, changing realities and trajectories in the process. This is an optimal time to step into a more active community role, experiment with a new look, or consider an alternative mindset. The lunar eclipse in Virgo happens on March 3rd, 2026. A cycle of perfectionism is ending, or perhaps you've been overextending yourself for the wrong people. Has your service to others fulfilled you in return? This might be a lifelong tendency. Don't fall back into this old habit. While opposing the Sun and Mercury in Pisces, this moment reveals that you may have been blindingly idealizing a situation, believing you could fix someone or something, but it's time to cut it off. Naturally, the North Node is a very magnetic force. It's an energy that you feel drawn to throughout your life, and this event is triggering your life purpose sensor, but this arrangement points to a critical life lesson rather than a significant touch point. The situation might be one of the more difficult ones of which to let go, but it is very important that you maintain your dignity. This is a great time to cut off toxic relationships or leave hostile work environments. Uranus trines Pluto on March 6th, off and on until 2028. Now, what does trine mean? As a reminder, a trine brings a sense of ease and flow. It is when planets are 4 signs apart, and it creates a 120-degree angle in your chart. Early 2026 gives us a moment to align innovation with transformation. Projects, ideas, or technologies that have been simmering can finally click into place, especially those that benefit communities or rework old systems. The universe offers a second chance in March to refine these breakthroughs. Jupiter direct in Cancer on March 10th up until July 26th. Emotional abundance, familial desires, and intuitive wealth are returning priorities. If you're interested in how you can step into softer strength or lead more with your heart, check out my Jupiter in Cancer article from May 2025. Uranus officially enters Gemini on April 26, 2026. We had a preview of this over the summer. See my in-depth analysis from July 2025 on this transit. But now we are setting our thrusters to full impulse power through an ever-changing communication landscape. This is going to be a period when we feel shock fatigue, or when rapid information cycles dull collective outrage. Jupiter opposes Pluto on June 17th, 2026 until August 13th. Now, what's in opposition? Planets create conflict and polarity here. They're in opposite sides, and they create a 180-degree angle in a chart. Jupiter first opposes Pluto in Aquarius from its domain in Cancer. Here it challenges Pluto and Aquarius themes. This could show up as attempting to revive dying communities or technology, or perhaps we begin to nurture previously scrapped ideas and discover what does and does not serve. Beware of power struggles. Once Jupiter shifts into Leo in July, you may suffer a potential ego death. Pluto gives you the opportunity to have a phoenix moment, but not without a lesson. Jupiter trines Neptune on June 18th up until August 14th, 2026. When Jupiter first makes this trine in Cancer, your dreams are your brain children, and you've been guarding and nurturing them carefully. When Jupiter enters Leo, you feel more ready to release them into the wild. You're bold, ready to risk and bask. Neptune is in retrograde from July 7th until December 12th, 2026. Neptune retrograde is interesting because with most planets you see a shift towards more introspective, reflective behavior. Since Neptune is already ominous and confusing, retrogrades actually have a clarifying effect. Where you may be dazzled during your spring and summer escapades, this period highlights what may have been idealized and can deepen intuition. Jupiter enters Leo on July 26th up until August 24th, 2027. High drama in a good way. This is a fun placement because wherever Leo is in your hands, Jupiter's arrival makes you the king or queen of that arena. This does not guarantee success, but it does give you an it girl, it guy spotlight. Saturn retrograde in Aries from July 26th to December 10th, 2026. You're being called to reevaluate whether you've made any progress from your efforts. If not, it's time to find a more efficient avenue or set your sights on a new goal entirely. During this time, Saturn slips back into Pisces. It will let you know whether these goals are realistic or escapist. Saturn trines Jupiter on August 4th until September 22nd. Your hard work opens the door for new fortuitous opportunities. This placement opens your mind to new possibilities and mindsets for self-improvement. Solar eclipse in Leo happens on August 12th, 2026. It's time to be your most unapologetically radiant, authentic self. You've been shrinking yourself for so long, but now it is time to emit your light. The most powerful work you can do is shadow work, and this is the easiest time to overcome your anxieties. What is the touchiest subject to you? What are you constantly avoiding? Take that one thing, acknowledge it with a magnifying glass that is your logical mind, channel your ego through that glass, and burn that insecurity. Even more helpful is the trine formed between the moon and Saturn in Aries on this day. These are very beneficial aspects for self-improvement, giving you the confidence to overcome doubts, trust the process, and face your faults because you innately know that doing so is the key to unlocking the one door that will lead you to your most abundant life. You'll find it easier than usual to integrate your shadow work during this period. By the way, eclipse energy starts 3 days before and continues for 3 days after the actual event, so it's not the end of the world if you're busy on August 12th. Lunar eclipse in Pisces happens on August 28th, 2026. This is a full circle moment stemming back from the lunar eclipse in Virgo back in March. There's this mystical, wise energy about you. You are much more trusting of your intuition at this point in the year. You may start finding it easier to recognize martyr tendencies, even in other people, making you an excellent guide for loved ones. These 5 months have taught you that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to prove yourself. As the moon also opposes Mercury here, you realize that people are so busy relying on earthly logic, but they're not listening to their conscience. It's not your heart. It's the voice of your ancestors from beyond, your spirit guides calibrating your compass. The moon is trining Mars on this day, which highlights the attractiveness of your soft skills, heart, and newfound spiritual gifts. People are drawn to this ethereal version of you. This eclipse's key takeaway is to trust your gut. You can exercise this by keeping a notepad or a journal nearby, and whenever knowledge pops into your head without context, or you receive wisdom without any logical support, write it down to remember it for later. Uranus retrograde in Gemini happens on September 10th, 2026 up until February 8th, 2027. With so many new and exciting inventions, opinions, and world events happening by the minute, it all starts to make you wonder if you're being original or meaningful enough. Am I making an impact? Or maybe you're feeling extra self-conscious about what you say. Maybe that was a little too raunchy. It sounded funnier in my head. Retrograde in Gemini asks to reassess communication, innovation, and how ideas affect networks and communities. It's important to note that zodiac predictions don't just refer to your sun sign. If you identify more with the rising sign or your chart ruler, whatever sign is most prominent in your chart, please pay closer attention to that one. Aries. You're being called back to your roots for some rest and rejuvenation during Jupiter in retrograde. This slower period could be emotional for you if you're used to hustling for your family, whether you have children or aim to make your elders proud. But you must give yourself grace. The introspection continues once Neptune returns to Aries, your sign, but now you long to step into your dream self. Saturn joins the party a couple weeks later. This more thoughtful version of you is not the norm, but it marks the beginning of an intense journey that will span the next few years. You will learn more about yourself. This is beyond the typical self-improvement quest. You're starting to compose this ideal version of you and scheme about how to embody the fantasy. You seem to romanticize spring, and once Jupiter stations direct in March, you spoil yourself a little more than usual. For the remainder of Jupiter's residency in Cancer, you're very focused on protecting your peace. Then the eclipse in Aquarius happens in the midst of your self-discovery. This could affect your life in various ways. You may fall into a community or friend group randomly or by accident. Hardship you witness in your locale activates your empathy, causing you to want to provide aid. While this selflessness is an admirable quality to develop, the moon is squaring Uranus and Taurus during this eclipse. Whatever resistance you're contemplating on joining might actually distract you from your efforts to stabilize your finances or compromise your principles. You can counter this starting on March 6th when Uranus trines Pluto. Find a way to apply your skills and the coalition or impact you're looking to create. Don't let anything external change you. Be the change. Speaking of stability, Uranus will station direct in Taurus in February. Now, Uranus is not traditionally known for being predictable, but if you're normally a busy person and Jupiter in Cancer is making you more of a homebody or pushing you to step into a softer, responsible role, Uranus in Taurus is assisting you in this shift by helping you reevaluate your priorities. Settling down and planning for generational wealth is a prime example of this. The next eclipse is in March, which is lunar and in Virgo. At this point in your self-discovery, doubts may start to creep. You might be worried about the timeline or whether you're doing things correctly. Neither matter, but because time is a human construct and there is no right or wrong way to go about your life, nobody knows your reality better than you. Since you're now learning to speak your truth, Uranus conveniently enters Gemini in April. This is helpful because now you're feeling brave to call people out, knowing that mediocrity is not an option. This goes on until September 10th, when your once rapid-fire problem-solving skills temporarily feel blocked by intrusive thoughts about whether your efforts are sufficient or not. You may even back off on the habit of speaking before thinking for the rest of the year. Did you think the battle between your desire to preserve your soft, stable home life and your pull to rebellion was over? It's not. Because on June 17th, Jupiter in Cancer has its last face-off with Pluto in Aquarius. It seems like you're trying to remain as the grounding force amidst chaos. The very next day begins a 2-month-long trine between Jupiter in Cancer and Neptune in Aries, and you'll realize that this softness is what you really want. You don't need to break walls or abolish intangible theories. You can be a humanitarian. Once Jupiter's Cancerian lease expires on July 26th, the Jupiter in Leo will not be taking any prisoners. This propels you into more of a heroic role in your external work. Internally, this marks a new year of abundance and joy and creativity. At this point, you're in a very granular phase of self-discovery. In the midst of Jupiter and Leo, Saturn snaps into retrograde on the same day. This acts as a bit of an existential check-in to make sure you're on the right path. And if you're following along with these predictions throughout the year, you can be sure that Saturn would approve of your determination. If you continue on this path, you will be awarded once Saturn in Aries trines Jupiter and Leo on August 4th. More and more levels of your layered personality await to be unlocked. Just over a week later, we continue the Leo party with a solar eclipse. This is an excellent day for diving into shadow work, as the energy allows you to feel more open to identifying your triggers and facing your insecurities. You can even make a game out of it. Leo brings childlike whimsy, so if you think about sensitive subjects or topics that make yourself uncomfortable, let your inner child profusely ask why, until you get to the root cause. A couple weeks after the Leo solar eclipse is the Pisces lunar eclipse on August 28th. Remember the Virgo lunar eclipse in March? Now the roles are reversed. Your doubts about correctly fulfilling your path to self-mastery have been released. You now have this inner knowing that you are protected by the universe, and you are exactly on the trajectory that is necessary for you to travel. Taurus. 2026 begins with an inward focus. You're in a Jupiter retrograde hangover from November 2025, lasting until March. There's a slowing of communication and more reservation. You're keeping things inside, keeping your opinions to yourself. Any travel or movement is kept to a minimum. You've been working a lot and you need to take a breather before you burn out. Do less, feel more. Be present. Practicing yoga is a great example of this because it allows you to center yourself and listen to what your body is trying to tell you. It's not only your body that needs attention, but listen to the innate wisdom that seems to come to you from nowhere. You have devoted spirit guides and a strong connection to other dimensions. Do not ignore them. Once Neptune returns to Aries on January 26th, you'll be more receptive to this, and Saturn starting February 13th will present you with tests that allow your mind to reach past the confines of conventional creativity. The solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th brings an external disruption to your public image. This could come through as rumors being spread about you, possibly online, or a change happening in your industry, like new leadership or standards. With the moon squaring Uranus in Taurus, you're interrupting that status quo, gaining widespread attention for something unusual. You're grounded and sensual by nature, but with an edge these days. You've been more playful with your style, letting more of your silliness show, and something about this is making you more noticeable. You may have taken a break when Uranus was retrograde before February, asking yourself if this is really you. It is. Uranus trining Pluto reassures you that you are authentic and original. You enter spring when Jupiter stations direct, making you more self-assured, tactful, and move once again with serenity. You have perfectionist tendencies involving your creations, whether it be art, food, raising children, etc. You're shy about works in progress. This is a pattern that you may have repeated throughout your life, but it has not helped you ascend. The lunar eclipse in Virgo is asking you to break this habit because once you realize your friends and loved ones don't care about you following every rule or detail to a T, and once you conclude that your love and devotion is what they see through all of it, you'll realize why you do what you do. You will find your purpose in that. Once Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th, you take more risks with finances, gambling, and investing. This is fine, and as a wise Miami rapper once said, scared money don't make money. But do it responsibly. Notably, you're not sticking to one money move. Gemini wants you to diversify your portfolio, but Uranus plays games. The market might be volatile for you, so always do your research. You're not keeping this gig a secret. You're telling everyone who will listen. This isn't just about investing either. It's about moral values as well as financial value. The Uranian flavor makes you a bit eccentric in this field. It doesn't make you judgmental, but it does become a prominent personality quirk. Right before Jupiter moves to Leo, it starts opposing Pluto in Aquarius on June 17th. Are you keeping secrets, Taurus? There might be one in particular you were afraid could damage your reputation, or it could be something you've been brewing for a while that you were just about to release for the world to know, changing how the public sees you or birthing a new persona. This secret or new persona seems to bring you confidence, joy, and inspire more creativity once Jupiter sachets into Leo. The next day, Jupiter trines Neptune on June 18th and later Saturn on August 4th. This allows you to speak sacred wisdom of the universe. You preach only love and you spread it liberally. This might explain what you're hiding when we discussed a Jupiter opposing Pluto. You're afraid people might think you're crazy, but you do it anyway because you firmly believe the message is being delivered to you. This transit ends up being your good luck charm. On July 7th, Neptune stations retrograde. If you started to question if you've been too much of a romantic about the esoteric qualities of the world, not paying enough attention to the harsh truths of reality. With the solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th, you're enjoying new visibility, but you're also not afraid to confront your fears to stay grounded. Your brain is fertile with ideas. You've never been so inspired before. You feel just as fulfilled in your career as you do at home, as this jubilation carries over into your family as well. Saturn will send you a progress report as it stations retrograde in Aries on July 26th. Take some time to reflect on what you've learned about life from spiritual teaching so far. The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th is connected to the lunar eclipse in Virgo from March. You're no longer blind to the illusion that you are not enough, because when you mustered up the courage to let yourself be messy and human, you found that the ones who matter aren't looking for your flaws. They're admiring your whole self. Finally, you close 2026 with Uranus retrograde in Gemini by questioning whether your values align with your goals. Gemini's instant gratification tempts you. The volatility in your investments makes you second-guess your decisions, but Taurus, your specialty is playing the long game. You know that realistically, lasting growth does not happen overnight. Gemini, The year begins with an inward focus as Jupiter moves through its retrograde in Cancer. You may feel slowed down, more reserved and introspective. Travel, movement, or social activity is minimized, and there's a return to traditional values and quiet consolidation. Wealth is humbly accumulated rather than flaunted. After a productive couple of quarters, this slower season gives you time to raise your shields and ensure proper safety measures are in place. You're paying closer attention to financial details like catching up on bills, checking your credit score, auditing subscriptions, or canceling what no longer serves you. This reflective period lasts until March 10th and is less about stagnation than about protecting what you've built. As January comes to a close, Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, and your imagination begins to stir. You find yourself daydreaming about your hopes and dreams, and Aries brings an urge to act on them if that's what you truly want. Friends and community appear through a rosy lens, inspiring and guiding you forward. While you're often seen as the independent go-getter, this influence can blur your focus when it comes to long-term goals. If you donate or volunteer, take extra care to research where your energy and money are going. Distractions and detours may appear more frequently now, testing your discernment. By February 13th, Saturn also enters Aries, providing a necessary counterbalance. Saturn helps keep you grounded, reminding you to pursue your dreams while listening to trusted confidants and to vet newcomers carefully. Wherever you feel steady forward momentum, you're likely on the right path. You'll recognize Saturn's tests when generosity is taken advantage of, jealousy surfaces in your social circle, promises go unfulfilled, or you notice projects stalling. The lesson here is maturity, handling conflict directly, holding boundaries, and taking responsibility for where your energy goes. This theme of awareness continues with the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th. New knowledge enters your life, expanding your worldview. You might learn about a culture, subculture, or technology that fundamentally shifts how you see things. With the moon squaring Uranus and Taurus, the shock doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds gradually, changing you over time rather than overnight. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd brings attention to old patterns of control and perfectionism within the home. You've likely held yourself to high standards for a long time as the overachiever, the golden child, or the deeply involved parent or caretaker. While this devotion comes from love, it may also be exhausting you. This eclipse asks you to loosen your grip. Your home is not meant to be a museum. It's meant to be a place of safety and renewal. If you've ever felt like nothing stays perfect no matter how hard you try, that's a sign you're being called to prioritize emotional well-being over appearances. Even if you worry you're not doing enough for your family, your effort alone already speaks volumes. Just days later on March 6th, Uranus begins trining Pluto, a long-lasting influence that runs through November 26th. This is a subtle but powerful awakening. Unseen forces expand your awareness, and you become more observant of life's deeper meanings. Small, ordinary moments begin to teach profound lessons. While many people move through life on autopilot, you're noticing the magic woven into the mundane, showing others how to see it all the while. Momentum returns on March 10th when Jupiter stations direct. Financial interruptions stabilize and clarity replaces hesitation. You're no longer apologizing for your values or boundaries, and you refuse to lower your standards for the sake of peace. If you've been considering a purchase or investment, confidence returns, but only after careful research. You're wiser now about what's worth the risk. As spring progresses, Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th, bringing a noticeable shift in energy. Life feels more dynamic, experimental, and communicative. You may feel inspired to refresh your appearance, sharpen your conversational skills, or express yourself in bolder ways. Friends might be surprised by your changes, while acquaintances could find you unpredictable. But this experimentation is part of discovering a more authentic voice. By mid-June, deeper philosophical shifts take hold. On June 17th, Jupiter opposes Pluto, echoing the awakening sparked earlier in the year. Your beliefs about life, truth, and power begin to change. What once felt unquestionable now feels limiting. You're realizing that life happens for you, not to you, and that growth requires releasing attachment to outcomes. As Jupiter later moves into Leo while still opposing Pluto, you grow more confident in expressing these truths. However this lesson unfolds, it has a powerful influence on others. The following day, June 18th, Jupiter trines Neptune, opening a window of faith, inspiration, and intuitive clarity that lasts into mid-August. Your values, peace, and quiet confidence are noticed. Others see you as someone with creative insight, strong intuition, and an almost sixth sense for opportunity. This can attract recognition or financial growth, especially when you trust your instincts while staying grounded. That grounding becomes important when Neptune stations retrograde on July 7th. Doubts may surface about whether the attention you are receiving is too good to be true. This isn't a signal to retreat, but an invitation to reflect. Reconnect with your why and make sure your path still aligns with who you're becoming. Later in July, Saturn stations retrograde on July 26th, offering a progress report. Without consciously trying, you've changed. Your social circle may look different now, and that's worth examining. Who supports your vision? Who drains your energy? This is a time to evaluate alliances and ensure they're aligned with your future, not your past. Visibility returns with the solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th. You're known as a dynamic communicator, perhaps with a dramatic flair in your speech, but that label no longer fits you. While you're not shy, you're no longer interested in superficial attention. People may initially misjudge you, only to later discover your layers of wisdom. You're drawn to teaching others about hidden patterns and deeper truths, sharing what you've learned from seeing the world with fresh eyes. The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th brings an emotional turning point. You may feel sensitive to public perception, yet deeply committed to the work you're doing for others. If family members struggle to understand or support your evolving beliefs, this can be painful, but you're learning that love and disagreement can coexist. Releasing the weight of others' opinions allows you to continue meaningful work without abandoning compassion. As the year winds down, Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini on September 10th, prompting reflection on authenticity. You may question whether your lifestyle truly matches what you teach or share with others. You close the year knowing that growth requires alignment, not perfection. Cancer. As the year begins with 2025's Jupiter retrograde hangover in Cancer, you're in a period of internal focus and slowing down. The core question becomes, do I pay as much attention to myself as I do for other people? It is not sustainable to always be growing or striving. When you are constantly living in the future, you miss what matters in the present. Take a moment to think about what you like rather than what you want. Get to know yourself again. This is an excellent time to designate for self-care, especially if you've been grinding. This is less about retreating from life and more about returning to yourself. You may be a little more reserved for a while, and that is purposeful. Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, 2026. This can show up in two ways. You could awaken your industry with brilliant ideas, be seen as a visionary or even a miracle worker with leadership qualities, or your calling may suddenly find you. There's an ignition point here where inspiration feels alive and urgent. On the other hand, this can also create confusion about who you want to be in this world. If you're still in school, you might have a hard time figuring out what you want to study or where you want to work. It's not that you lack skills. On the contrary, you have brilliant ideas, but you may struggle to locate where they belong. If you never truly felt passionate about a career before, this transit can bring that question to the surface. You may realize that your future does not exist in the industry you originally imagined. Do take caution in idealizing the outcome of your ideas rather than accounting for the logistics required to bring them to life. The sky really is the limit here, but be mindful of overpromising and under-delivering at the expense of a poorly planned vision. Seek second opinions, do your research, and approach this phase with thoughtful planning. Saturn enters Aries on February 13th, 2026. If you've been a little too idealistic about your career goals, this is the reality check. Can you handle something fast-paced, competitive, cutthroat, or time-consuming? Are you comfortable taking accountability not only for yourself, but also for colleagues or subordinates? Maybe you are a dreamer, but do not let others mistake vision for naivete. You are not here to be a yes person. Be discerning in your commitment to excellence. Your vision is meant to be followed precisely, not vaguely interpreted. Guidance may come from advisors or investors, but ultimate responsibility rests with you. This is a long-term transit, so this is not just about a single project. It's a career-defining era. The three pillars of project management come into play: scope, time, and budget. If you can manage these, you will succeed. The solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, 2026 brings shocking revelations around your community or a group you're involved with. Secrets that have been hidden or festering for a long time may come to light, drawing more attention than usual. With the sun activated in Uranus and Taurus, this information feels destabilizing and impossible to ignore. Normally, you might be quick to assign blame in a situation like this, but this time is different. You're more focused on understanding what went wrong and why. You may feel compelled to uncover every detail surrounding a betrayal, a broken agreement, or a collective loss. With Mars active in the same area, emotions can escalate quickly. This can manifest as conflict, advocacy, or desire to take action rather than remain passive. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd, 2026 highlights old communication patterns. Be mindful of slipping back into old ways of speaking or engaging. Friends from the past may reach out unexpectedly, briefly disrupting your routine. These are not deeply bonded relationships returning, and they do not necessarily point to an ex. This may even be someone you barely think about anymore. You've grown apart from these people. They no longer fit into your current timeline. Hearing from them may feel random or out of the blue rather than emotionally earth-shattering. With the North Node in Pisces, nostalgia is strong and you may feel emotionally pulled into the moment. Virgo's influence keeps you grounded by reminding you why things ended and what was left unresolved. Even if this person once mattered, you can clearly see the flaws, miscommunications, or imbalances that cause the distance. It's natural to feel sentimental, but if you sense this connection no longer aligns with your values, let it go. Do not get too deeply invested or feel obligated to catch up. You are capable of controlling the depth and direction of the conversation. The best case scenario is closure, not reconnection. Dwelling on the past or idealizing this person is not advised. With the Jupiter in Cancer trining the North Node, you may feel tempted to overshare or emotionally open doors that do not need reopening. This can lead to disappointment if vulnerability is not met with reciprocity. This is not the time for courage through reconnection. Protect your peace. Let this moment serve as a personal checkpoint reflecting how far you've come. Once Uranus begins trining Pluto from March 6th through November 26, 2026, your role within a community or friendship circle shifts. You've spent years carving out your place, subtly influencing and improving the lives of others. Now people naturally begin revealing secrets or deeper truths to you without prompting. This can feel sudden or unexpected. The level of trust others place in you becomes undeniable. As a result, your perception of certain friendships or group dynamics changes dramatically. This is less about betrayal and more about awareness. Nothing here appears to directly disrupt your life, but it does reshape your values and how you understand power within relationships. When Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 11, 2026, confidence and emotional stability begin to return. Forward momentum resumes and motivation increases. What once felt paused now feels purposeful. Uranus enters Gemini on April 26, triggering restlessness and a sense of existential urgency. You may suddenly feel that you've not lived fully enough or that there's more for you meant to be experienced. Unfulfilled dreams resurface and demand attention. This echoes a childhood desire to try everything and explore every opportunity and possibility. On June 17th, Jupiter opposes Pluto, creating an intense moment of self-reckoning. The more work you do on yourself, the more you heal. Your emotional depth, softness, and commitment to growth are not weaknesses. They are the source of your power. This realization may come through criticism or a moment of intended humiliation. If not, it may manifest internally as a temporary low. What feels vulnerable is actually where your strength lies. Between June 18th and August 14th, 2026, Jupiter trines Neptune, enhancing your intuition and sensitivity. This reflects positively on your image. You may be seen as ethereal, calming, or inspiring. In professional environments, you bring peace to chaos and offer clarity where others feel stuck. People look to you as a source of reassurance. Your presence alone helps others feel safe during uncertainty. When Neptune stations retrograde on July 7th, 2026, self-doubt quietly enters the picture. You may question whether the attention you are receiving is deserved or imagined. While you enjoy being seen, you do not want to appear disconnected from reality. During this time, your presence becomes more subdued as you focus on behind-the-scenes work. You're not abandoning your dreams, only refining them. You feel disconnected from your intuition, retreat inward, and consult your personal oracle. Saturn stations retrograde in Aries on July 26, 2026, reinforcing the lessons Neptune brings up. Saturn asks you to stay grounded and humble. Recognition is meaningful, but discipline sustains success. If your plan has become unclear or you've drifted off course, this is the time to rebuild structure. The solar eclipse in Leo on August 12, 2026, introduces a moment of childlike wonder. A creative idea emerges effortlessly, without competition or resistance. Mercury's supportive connection confirms its clarity. Even while feeling more modest, your authenticity draws people in. Your inner truth and outer expression align, and this idea carries a real financial potential. The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th, 2026 offers a deep emotional and spiritual release. This period is soothing and reaffirming. Your faith, planning, and intuition come together. Let go of attachment to outcomes. Fear of failure is only a distraction. This eclipse delivers one of the clearest messages yet about your purpose in this lifetime. As Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini on September 10th, 2026, concerns about perception and originality surface. You may suddenly care more about how others view your choices, even if that's never mattered to you before. Progress may feel slower than you would like, but legacy is not built overnight. Your dreams and reality are aligned, even if the outside world feels noisy. By the end of the year, you have a clearer understanding of who you are, what you value, and how you protect your emotional energy. What carries forward into 2027 is self-trust rather than urgency. Leo. 2026 opens with you quietly building something behind the scenes. With Jupiter retrograde in Cancer from November 11th, 2025 through March 10th, 2026, you may feel blocked from hitting your maximum potential, whether that limitation comes from external circumstances or internal fears. You've been private about your plans, and that discretion is intentional. Not everything needs to be shared while it is still forming. You are laying the foundation for a legacy, and this phase is about protecting what is sacred to you while it grows. When Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, a new era begins. You start to feel as though life should be lived more fully, more boldly, and with fewer restrictions. Everyday experiences take on meaning, even the mundane ones, and you may feel drawn to travel, exploration, or immersing yourself in environments that feel expansive and alive. You might catch yourself wondering why you've been postponing pleasure, growth, or adventure, and questioning what you've been saving all your energy for. This is a call to reassess what you want to absorb from life and what experiences truly nourish your spirit. That inspiration is quickly tempered once Saturn enters Aries on February 13th. Saturn brings reality structure and boundaries to the dreams stirred up by Neptune. You're being reminded not to act recklessly or make impulsive financial decisions in the name of freedom or fulfillment. A mindset expansion is healthy, but discipline is required to sustain it. You're learning how to live your philosophy without abandoning responsibility and how to honor inspiration without letting it destabilize your life. The solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th activates your relationship axis. If you're single, you may feel more inclined to take partnerships seriously. If you're already committed, your relationship becomes a higher priority and may undergo a conscious shift. With Mars also in Aquarius, passion is heightened and dynamics feel exciting, spontaneous, and energized. This eclipse asks you to redefine what partnership means to you and how much space it holds in your life moving forward. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd brings your attention to money, values, and self-worth. You may suddenly feel frustrated with playing it safe or adhering to conservative approaches that once felt secure. Curiosity replaces caution as you begin questioning what success really looks like and whether the rules you've been following still apply. This is not desperation, but a release of outdated beliefs around financial freedom and self-sufficiency. As Uranus begins trining Pluto from March 6th through November 26th, a deeper shift unfolds. With Uranus still in Taurus, you may feel restless about where you stand in life, particularly regarding your talents and how they are being used. You want to shine and advance, yet the pace feels slower than you would prefer. This slowdown serves a purpose. The themes from February's eclipse continue here, creating space for harmony in your love life. Partnerships feel supportive, and new romances may spark passion and inspiration, while other areas temporarily move at a gentler pace. When Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 11th, clarity returns. Your dreams feel coherent again, and intuition becomes a reliable guide. You are more open to signs, symbols, and support from forces you trust, and there is a renewed sense that you are being carried by something larger than yourself. This brings comfort and emotional steadiness. Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th, shifting your focus outward. After processing frustration around career momentum, you decide to explore new avenues rather than remain stagnant. This does not indicate quitting, but experimenting. Your attention turns toward your community and social world, where your ideas and perspective feel refreshing and energizing. With Uranus close to Venus, you become more magnetic. You are well-liked, admired, and socially engaging. And for some, this period can coincide with meeting someone new through community or shared interests. On June 17th, Jupiter opposes Pluto, confronting you with power dynamics and belief systems within relationships. You are cautioned against overindulging in spiritual narratives or relying solely on intuition without grounding it in logic. Emotional reactivity or operating on autopilot could strain partnerships. This opposition continues even after Jupiter enters Leo, where ego may become a point of tension. If attention, time, or presence feels uneven, misunderstandings could escalate unless consciously addressed. From June 18th through August 14th, Jupiter trines Neptune, reconnecting you with your earlier desire for expansion, travel, and inspiration. This transit helps you justify why broadening your perspective and seeking new experiences is essential for your growth. Faith is restored, creativity flows, and you feel emotionally aligned with the idea that life is meant to be explored, not merely managed. When Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, 2026, the volume of your life turns up in a big way. Visibility, confidence, and opportunity increase, sometimes all at once. This is a personal expansion cycle where you're invited to take up more space, trust your instincts, and lead without apology. Others are more receptive to you now, and doors open more easily when you act from authenticity rather than performance. Jupiter amplifies everything it touches, including your creativity, reputation, and generosity. So pacing yourself and staying grounded will help you make the most of this rare, once every 12 years boost. When Neptune stations retrograde on July 7th, doubt creeps in. You may feel torn between bold action and caution, particularly around finances, family logistics, or how to integrate a partner in your evolving vision. The weight of responsibility feels heavier under Aries energy, and everything can seem overwhelming at once. This is not a signal to abandon your dreams, but a reminder to pursue them without dismantling what you've already built. Saturn stations retrograde in Aries on July 26th, prompting a life audit. You reflect on habits, patterns, and internal barriers that may be preventing you from fully living the life you desire. This is shadow work, and it asks you to confront why you've restricted yourself in the past. Once these patterns are acknowledged, they lose their power over you. The solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th is a turning point. With Mercury, Jupiter, the Sun, and Moon all activating your sign, your efforts behind the scenes finally come into public view. Your creativity, confidence, and presence are amplified. Mercury sharpens your expression, Jupiter enhances your authority and confidence, and you step fully into your element. Recognition comes naturally, and others notice your rise. The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th brings emotional integration. Earlier in the year, you sought answers about success and fulfillment. Now you are living within the mystery itself. The inner work you've done enriches your life, reminding you that wealth is not limited to money alone. Fulfillment, meaning, and emotional depth define your version of success. As Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini on September 10th, you begin questioning your role within your community. You may wonder whether people feel supported, seen, or satisfied with the contributions you are making. Concerns about sincerity surface, especially after a summer filled with favorable transits. This is not about insecurity, but about accountability. You may feel called to communicate appreciation more openly or invite dialogue in reinforcing that your leadership remains grounded in connection. By the end of the year, you carry forward a clearer understanding of what fulfillment truly means, how visibility should be handled responsibly, and how your values shape the legacy you are building into 2027. Virgo. From November 11th, 2025 through March 10th, 2026, Jupiter retrograde in Cancer invites a reassessment of your friendships, community, long-term goals, and where you feel emotionally supported. You may feel doubtful about whether you truly belong in your friend group, or wonder if your care and devotion are fully appreciated. Perhaps you feel lonely because everyone turns to you for comfort, while you rarely receive the same in return. You are deeply attuned to those in your circle, yet it may not always feel reciprocal. This period reminds you that it is okay to put yourself first. Your dreams and nourishment matter too. If your friends are genuine, they will understand your need for space. If not, you can always rely on yourself. When Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, boundaries begin to soften around shared resources, intimacy, trust, and emotional vulnerability. Commitments may feel less intimidating than before, and you could feel optimistic about entering agreements or contracts with others. There's an inspiration here, but also risk. The desire to make your dreams real combined with a lack of fear around exploitation can be powerful or problematic. This energy can make you a trailblazer, but it can also push you toward decisions made without full clarity. Saturn's entrance into Aries on February 13th introduces reality checks, structure, and accountability in these same areas. This is a moment to tread carefully. Agreements involving marriage, shared finances, vulnerability, or major purchases should be reviewed meticulously. Neptune's influence may make you more trusting than usual, which increases susceptibility to emotional overextension or unhealthy dynamics. Saturn urges discernment. Ask questions. If red flags appear, pause and seek a second opinion before proceeding. The solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, 2026 brings a reset to your daily routines, work, life, health, and stress management. This may sound counterintuitive, but you may actually need more discipline, not less. You're already efficient and capable, yet this eclipse highlights how overachievement may be contributing to burnout. You may realize that constantly appeasing others, even with a smile, is taking a toll on your well-being. This eclipse asks you to restructure how you expend your energy. Working in focused bursts and scheduling intentional rest can make a meaningful difference. You do not need to have everything figured out immediately. The weeks between this eclipse and the next offer space to experiment with the healthier rhythms. By the time the lunar eclipse occurs in Virgo on March 3rd, 2026, a personal culmination takes place. You may recognize that your long-standing habit of constant productivity is no longer sustainable. Themes shift inward, asking whether intense self-focus has made it harder to engage fully with the world around you. This is not about selfishness, but about releasing fixation on perceived shortcomings. You may feel drawn to connect more deeply with others, or even open yourself to love. At this eclipse, you release your attachment to perfection. You instinctively know that the right person or opportunity will recognize your gifts without judgment. From March through late 2026, Uranus and Taurus intermittently forms a harmonious trine with Pluto, supporting gradual transformation of your beliefs, worldview, and long-term direction. Over the years, Uranus has been slowly awakening you to new possibilities, even if this process felt subtle or delayed. Now, changes you begin implementing around the Aquarius solar eclipse start to take deeper root. While Pluto's influence can feel intense, this trine suggests that the transformations unfolding are ultimately supportive. If you commit to the changes you've been contemplating, life may begin to feel more aligned and less stressful than before. When Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 11th, 2026, momentum returns in friendships, collaborations, and future-oriented goals. Concerns about your place in the community begin to ease. Your role feels validated, and emotional security within your network strengthens. If you questioned whether your hopes were supported, this period offers reassurance. Your desires matter, and they are seen. Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th, bringing noticeable shifts in your career path, public role, and professional visibility. This may come as a surprise. People may suddenly be talking about you, noticing your work, or responding to changes you've been making behind the scenes. The routines you restructured earlier in the year are having a visible impact. With Venus nearby Gemini, you come across as capable, articulate, and polished. Whether you are pivoting professionally or stepping into a role that fits you better, this is a moment of recognition. On June 17th, Jupiter opposing Pluto highlights power dynamics between your personal ambitions and collective expectations. You may struggle to balance your evolving routine with friendships and long-term dreams. This tension does not mean that either has become less important, but rather that you are still learning how to allocate your time and energy in a way that honors both. From mid-June through mid-August, Jupiter forms a supportive trine with Neptune, restoring faith and emotional inspiration around your long-term goals. If you've been considering an agreement or significant decision, encouragement may come from friends or trusted allies. This support feels genuine and affirming, not pressuring. When Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, your growth tends to move inward rather than outward at first. This is a quieter expansion cycle where confidence and clarity build under the surface before you're ready to share them with the world. You may find yourself drawn to rest, reflect, or refine creative intentions in ways that don't yet require an audience. Spiritual insight, emotional healing, and creative incubation are supported now. Even if it feels like things are slowing down externally, this period is preparing you for a much more visible chapter once Jupiter reaches your sign. When Neptune stations retrograde on July 7th, reflection sets in around intimacy, shared resources, and emotional dependencies. You may begin questioning whether you moved too quickly or trusted too freely early in the year. This period encourages honest reassessment rather than regret. Saturn's retrograde beginning July 26th reinforces the need to slow down and revisit commitments. This is not about abandoning responsibilities, but about pausing to strengthen boundaries and ensure your well-being is protected. Separating emotion from logic may feel challenging at first, but it is necessary for long-term stability. The solar eclipse on Leo on August 12th brings closure, rest, and healing. While this summer may have felt uncertain, this eclipse offers rejuvenation and quiet preparation for a new chapter. Your work may be less visible now, but it has not stopped. Something meaningful is forming, and you are eager to reveal it when the time is right. The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th, 2026 brings emotional truth to partnerships and agreements. Relationships that no longer serve you may reach a turning point. If red flags have been ignored, this eclipse asks you to listen to your intuition. Letting go creates space for alignment with your evolving identity, friendships, and dreams. Finally, when Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini from September 10th, 2026 through February 8th, 2027, you begin reevaluating recent career changes and public direction. Increased visibility may make you more sensitive to how you are perceived, but this is a reminder that authenticity matters more than approval. You know your intentions, and the universe recognizes your efforts to grow and improve your life. As the year closes, Virgo carries forward a deeper understanding of balance, boundaries, and self-worth. What has shifted both internally and externally prepares you for a more aligned and intentional path into 2027. Libra. 2026 begins with the Jupiter retrograde in Cancer from November 11th, 2025 through March 10th, 2026, prompting a reevaluation of your career direction, public role, reputation, and long-term ambitions. You may find yourself second-guessing the path you've chosen, questioning whether the work you're doing is meaningful, if you'll find success, or whether it truly serves others. This period encourages you to step back from the public eye and reflect on what you want to accomplish, weighing whether the effort you're putting in aligns with your deeper values and aspirations. As Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, relationships and partnerships take on a more ethereal quality. You might find yourself reminiscing about old flames or imagining cinematic, larger-than-life connections with partners who embody independence, confidence, or leadership. Boundaries may feel fluid, and while it's the time to dream, it's also a reminder to remain grounded in reality, keeping sight of your own needs while exploring what love could be. When Saturn moves into Aries on February 13th, relationships and long-term commitments are called into sharper focus. This transit asks you to consider whether you are truly ready to give yourself fully to another person, whether in love, partnership, or collaboration. With Neptune nearby, discernment becomes crucial. Clarity and attention should guide your decisions. For those already partnered, it's the moment to evaluate what's working and what isn't, while remembering that fairness and indecision can sometimes mask deeper truths. Saturn encourages thoughtful, long-term devotion rather than casual or impulsive choices. The solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th sparks a catalytic new beginning in creativity, romance, pleasure, and self-expression. Projects that have been dormant or ideas that have lingered on the back burner suddenly demand attention, bringing inspiration, fresh perspectives, and support. Aquarius encourages you to embrace your uniqueness, even if it means working in solitude for a time, and to dive deep into the work that resonates most with your creative vision. By the time the lunar eclipse in Virgo arrives on March 3rd, the consequences of burnout and overextension become clear. You've been carrying too much, spreading yourself thin, and expecting perfection, but this is unsustainable. This eclipse urges you to slow down, listen to your body, and restore balance. Adequate rest and boundaries are no longer optional. They are essential for sustaining both your professional and personal life. From March 6th through November 26th, the Uranus in Taurus gradually trines Pluto, supporting a slow yet profound transformation of beliefs, worldview, purpose, and long-range vision. You've been quietly uncovering insights and awakening to new possibilities, and now you may feel a greater safety in expressing ideas that were previously intimidating. This trine allows your innovative thoughts to manifest in practical and transformative ways. With Jupiter stationing direct in Cancer on March 11th, momentum returns in career, visibility, leadership, and recognition. Confidence builds as you reaffirm your place in professional sphere or collective projects, and contributions are noticed and appreciated. This is a period of renewed energy and forward movement, where your presence and efforts are validated. When Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th, shifts beliefs in communication, education, travel, and philosophical outlook unfold. You may find yourself juggling new perspectives and reassessing long-held truths. Combined with the ongoing Uranus-Pluto trine, these changes provide rich material for refining your visionary goals and expanding your understanding. Jupiter's opposition on Pluto on June 17th surfaces tension between career ambitions and private life, highlighting authority dynamics and emotional pressure points. You may feel stretched between professional responsibilities and personal or creative pursuits. Maternal or caretaking obligations, whether family, mentees, or dependents, can feel particularly heavy, making it harder to focus on your own passions and private life. From June 18th through August 14th, Jupiter trines Neptune, bringing creative inspiration, romantic idealization, and artistic flow and emotional alignment. Your determination in your professional life enhances the energy you bring to partnerships and collaborations, and your contributions uplift others, reflecting your authenticity and vision. When Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, your social world expands and blossoms. Friendships, community involvement, collaborations, and long-term dreams receive a noticeable boost, and you may find yourself surrounded by people who genuinely believe in you. This is a powerful time for networking, audience growth, and feeling supported by your circle. Opportunities could arise through shared creative visions, introductions, or word of mouth. Jupiter here rewards mutual enthusiasm and collective support, so aligning with people who celebrate your gifts will accelerate your momentum. Neptune stations retrograde from July 7th through December 12th, offering a period of reflection on relationship fantasies, projections, and boundaries. It's a time to consider whether you've been moving too quickly, enabling self-deception, or staying in relationships for the wrong reasons. Clarity emerges, giving you the chance to exercise empathy wisely and establish healthier boundaries. Saturn retrograde in Aries from July 26th through December 10th prompts a review of relationship commitments, contracts, and long-term partnership structures. This is a period to pause, reflect, and to realign expectations. For those already partnered, it is essential to consciously focus on mutual support and ensure the balance of effort within the relationship, particularly in the context of your career and creative pursuits. The solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th heralds new beginnings or culminations in friendships, community, collaborations, and public endeavors. Social recognition is highlighted and long-term dedication begins to pay off. You may feel a sense of validation, as though the effort you've invested in being seen, connected, and contributing finally resonates with the right audience. By the lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th, cycles around work-life balance, routines, and caretaking draw to a close. Earlier burnout eases, boundaries are restored, and life begins to feel more stable. Balance, peace, and clarity are returning, giving you a chance to integrate lessons learned. Finally, with Uranus stationing retrograde in Gemini from September 10th through February 8th, 2027, you're called to reevaluate long-term beliefs, educational pursuits, and personal direction. It's a time to consolidate knowledge, refine your understanding, and prepare to share your insights with a loyal community. This period encourages you to organize, teach, and inspire, setting the stage for growth and fulfillment in the coming year. Overall, 2026 is a year of re-examining partnerships, career identity, creative expression, and long-term vision. Libra carries into 2027 greater clarity, discernment, and inspiration with a renewed ability to balance love, collaboration, and purpose while staying aligned with personal values. Scorpio. Scorpio in 2026 starts with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer from November 11th through March 10th, prompting a period of questioning your path. You might be asking yourself if your studies or work are truly worth your time, if you're helping others in a meaningful way, or if your efforts are going unnoticed. Emotionally, you may feel closed off while your mind races with ideas and plans. Growth is slow, but it's steady, and reflection is key. On January 26th, Neptune enters Aries, bringing a focus on ideals around your body image, daily routines, and mental wellness. You might experiment with more flexible scheduling, slow mornings, or habits that prioritize your well-being over rigid efficiency. It's less about strict health regimens and more about aligning your lifestyle with your self-image and personal comfort. Saturn enters Aries on February 13th, reminding you that even as you prioritize flexibility, discipline is still necessary to reach your goals. Establishing a routine that supports both your physical and mental well-being is essential. This is a time to structure your ambitions in a sustainable way, balancing care for yourself with commitment to your goals. The solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th pulls you toward home in a non-traditional sense. You may feel a desire to nurture or protect, whether it's caring for a pet, creating a sanctuary space, or reconnecting with cultural roots. Solitude may feel safer than engaging with the outside world, and this eclipse invites you to honor that need for personal retreat. By March 3rd, the lunar eclipse in Virgo signals a release from old social circles. You may realize that certain friendships or community ties no longer support your growth. Letting go of toxic or stagnant connections is necessary to make room for relationships that align with your evolving goals and values. From March 6th through November 26th, Uranus trines Pluto, encouraging gradual transformation in your relationships, personal freedom, and comfort with solitude. If you're in a relationship, your commitment deepens. If not, you may feel more content in your own company. The energy of this trine supports embracing change without fear, particularly in areas of intimacy, trust, and shared experiences. Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 11th, bringing renewed motivation for your studies, career, or personal projects. Recognition of the value you provide others empowers you to move forward with confidence, even if not everyone appreciates your wisdom. Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th, activating Scorpio's 8th house of shared resources and finances. Increased attention from others may spark curiosity or gossip, but others also provides opportunities to assess and safeguard joint assets. Review shared accounts, documents, or properties carefully, as Gemini unpredictable energy could introduce surprises. Jupiter opposes Pluto on June 17th, highlighting the tension between your private life and the demands of your pursuits. Whether through study, work, or creative endeavors, you may feel pulled between your desire to serve and your need for peace and privacy. This opposition continues to challenge your balance, especially as Jupiter moves into Leo later in the summer. From June 18th through August 14th, Jupiter trines Neptune, enhancing spiritual alignment, intuition, and creative inspiration. Your work or studies may directly support your self-image and wellness goals, and your efforts can uplift others in meaningful ways. Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, marking a major career phase. Opportunities for promotion, recognition, and expansion in your professional or creative life appear. Your skills and contributions are seen by a wider audience, and this transit can elevate your reputation and authority. Neptune stations retrograde from July 7th through December 12th, inviting reflection on your ideals, boundaries, and routines. Consider whether your current goals are realistic and sustainable, particularly regarding health and lifestyle. This is a time for recalibration rather than pushing forward blindly. Saturn stations retrograde in Aries from July 26th to December 10th, emphasizing evaluation of commitments and routines. Prioritize responsibilities that truly serve your long-term vision and release those that distract or deplete you. Discipline must serve your well-being, not limit it unnecessarily. The solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th marks potential new beginnings or culmination in career and public visibility. This may involve a high-profile project or new role, but be mindful of conflicts with family or personal fulfillment. Balance between ambition and home life is crucial. Lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th offers emotional closure around work-life balance and relationships. Having released toxic connections early in the year, you now have space to trust the process, nurture yourself, and embrace the support that truly sustains you. Finally, Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini from September 10th through February 8th, 2027, prompting reassessment of your long-term goals, beliefs, shared resources, and personal direction. This period encourages reflection on how you've perfected your assets, strengthened your relationships, and leveraged your skills for personal growth. Closing themes for 2026 focus on balancing solitude with engagement, managing shared resources responsibly, and stepping into career and personal visibility with confidence. Scorpio carries forward lessons of discipline, self-care, and discerning connections into 2027. Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, the year begins inwardly. Between November 11th and March 10th, while Jupiter is retrograde in Cancer, you are quietly questioning whether the path you are truly on is yours. You may have spent so much time tending to other people's needs, building security, or strengthening trust with someone close to you that you've drifted away from your own inner truth. Growth feels slow during this period, not because nothing is happening, but because the work is emotional and private. You are learning that what actually feels safe, meaningful, and worth your devotion. The internal focus shifts on January 26 when Neptune enters Aries and lights up your creative and romantic instincts. You are less cautious now, more willing to dive headfirst into what feels good. Novelty excites you. Self-expression comes naturally, even if it ruffles feathers. There's an intensity here that makes you feel alive, though it can blur boundaries if you ignore red flags. For some, this transit stirs baby fever or idealized visions of parenthood, not necessarily rooted in practicality, but in the fantasy of creation, joy, and legacy. By February 13th, Saturn enters Aries and reality steps in to temper the dream. You may feel creatively blocked or frustrated, as if pleasure and joy require permission or proof of productivity first. Ambition is still there, but it feels like life keeps interrupting your ability to fully enjoy yourself. Saturn asks you to examine whether guilt has crept into your relationship with fun, rest, and creative expression, and whether you believe joy must be earned rather than lived. A turning point arrives on February 17th with the solar eclipse in Aquarius. This marks a powerful reset in how you communicate. You have opinions, insights, and truths that you may not have felt safe expressing before, and now the urge to speak is undeniable. Your voice becomes part of your identity and your mission. You may be bold, provocative, or slightly off color, but the point is not politeness. The point is impact. This is the beginning of a new chapter in how the world hears you. That momentum is tested on March 3rd during this lunar eclipse in Virgo. Long-standing perfectionism around your work reaches an emotional peak. You may receive criticism about something you poured yourself into, and it hits deeper than expected. This moment forces a realization that striving for flawlessness has become unsustainable. Efficiency is redefined, done becomes better than perfect, and delegation becomes an act of self-respect rather than failure. Just days later, from March 6th through November 26th, Uranus trines Pluto, quietly reshaping relationship with routine, discipline, and belief systems. If life has begun to feel dull or repetitive, the temptation to stir chaos for stimulation may arise, especially if you're operating from your shadow. However, this transit offers something far more powerful when handled consciously. Since Uranus entered Taurus in 2018, your values around productivity and discipline have evolved. Now, when trining Pluto, your opinions carry intensity and conviction. You may find yourself drawn into heated debates, but the real work here is learning how to inform without overpowering and to inspire without alienating. On March 11th, Jupiter stations direct in Cancer and something softens inside of you. Intimacy feels less threatening. You're more comfortable with emotional closeness and shared power. This is a quietly magnetic period, one that supports deeper bonds, trust building, and the expansion of shared resources. You may notice opportunities to grow wealth or influence through collaboration rather than independence. Change accelerates on April 26th when Uranus enters Gemini and disrupts your approach to relationships. You still know what you want, but the way you seek it begins to evolve. Intellectual stimulation becomes essential. You're drawn to people who are unconventional, curious, playful, and mentally agile. If you're partnered, there's a desire to reintroduce surprise and novelty to keep the spark alive through conversation and shared discovery. Tension builds on June 17th as Jupiter opposes Pluto. You may feel that your financial stability or long-term security is limiting how freely you express yourself. There could be things you are holding back out of fear of risking what you've built, or secrets you'd rather keep private. This opposition highlights the pressure between safety and truth. Notably, the dynamic begins to shift as Jupiter prepares to leave Cancer. From June 18th through August 14th, Jupiter trines Neptune, offering emotional and creative relief. Having developed a deeper understanding of yourself, you feel freer to imagine what fulfillment looks like. There's more room to daydream, to envision projects or experiences that bring joy without immediate pressure to monetize or justify them. That sense of expansion becomes unmistakable on June 30th when Jupiter enters Leo. This marks a philosophical rebirth for you. Curiosity returns. You feel like a student of life again, wide-eyed and open, discovering new belief systems and perspectives that recolor your entire worldview. Optimism resurfaces where cynicism may have settled early in the year. Still, reality checks continue. Between July 7th and December 12th, Neptune stations retrograde, prompting you to reassess whether your dreams are grounded in reality. Imagination remains limitless, but discernment becomes essential. You are asked to refine your visions rather than abandon them. On July 26th, Saturn also stations retrograde in Aries, reinforcing the need for follow-through. Inspiration is abundant, but fulfillment now depends on completion. This period asks you to choose one passion, one project, or one discipline and see it through. Mastery, not novelty, becomes the path to satisfaction. The solar eclipse on August 12th in Leo amplifies your visibility. This is an awakening moment, spiritually, philosophically, or socially. You may be seen as a leader, a teacher, or a source of inspiration. Confidence comes more naturally, and abundance feels accessible when you allow yourself to be seen. Finally, the year begins to soften with the lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th. The pressure to appear perfect, polished, and endlessly productive dissolves. You're more ready to let yourself be human again. Rest, emotional safety, and retreat into the private sphere become essential medicine. Home becomes a sanctuary where you can simply exist without performance. As Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini from September 10th through February 8th, reflection deepens. You begin asking whether the relationships you seek truly align with your values, or whether shock value and constant stimulation have been compensating for deeper insecurities. This is a time of honest self-inquiry, one that sets the tone for how you move forward beyond 2026, clear about what you want, why you want it, and who you want to become. By the end of 2026, Sagittarius, you are no longer trying to earn joy or justify your desires. The year strips away perfectionism, performative productivity, and the pressure to constantly prove your wisdom, replacing it with a quieter confidence rooted in lived experience. Your voice becomes clearer, your creativity more intentional, and your relationships more aligned with who you are now rather than who you thought you should be. What you carry forward is a renewed sense of purpose that feels expansive without being reckless, expressive without being overwhelming, and meaningful without needing constant validation. Capricorn. In 2026, you begin the year with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer from November 11th through to March 10th, prompting a period of reflection in your relationships. You may temporarily withdraw, not because a breakup is imminent, but to consider whether your bonds are balanced and your love is reciprocated. Jealousy or protectiveness could arise, and you may crave cozy, low-key moments with your partner. If you're single, this is an ideal time to nurture yourself, reconnect with who you are, and take a break from the dating scene. On January 26th, Neptune enters Aries, bringing some confusion around your concept of home and belonging. You may start seeing your home as a refuge from the outside world, and themes from your past or upbringing become more relevant. For parents, Neptune softens your approach, encouraging empathy over authoritarianism, while younger Capricorns may feel pressure or overbearing guidance from guardians. This transit invites reflection on what truly makes you feel secure. Saturn enters Aries on February 13th, signaling a desire to bring more structure into your home environment. After a period of fast-paced or chaotic routines, you may long for stability, tradition, and order. Just a few days later, the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th challenges your values and principles. Sudden shifts in finances or priorities may occur, making caution essential. Impulsive decisions could carry long-term consequences as Aquarius energy is unpredictable. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd encourages you to release limiting beliefs that block growth. You're called to trust your intuition over logic, tap into your inner wisdom, and recognize that efficiency is about knowing what truly matters rather than striving for perfection. From March 6th through November 26th, Uranus trines Pluto, opening the doors for recalibration in your life structure. Opportunities that felt blocked in the past may now become accessible, especially in areas of career, creativity, or long-term goals. Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 11th, restoring confidence and clarity in relationships. You feel more attuned to your partner or love interest, anticipating their needs, though you may need to avoid slipping into a parental role. On April 26th, Uranus enters Gemini, highlighting disruptions in your daily routine. Multiple responsibilities or interests may create stress, potentially affecting your health. This transit encourages you to manage your time like a project, block out appointments, and be conscious of budgeting. Yet it also brings a need for spontaneity and mental stimulation, which can improve morale and increase efficiency when balanced with structure. Jupiter opposes Pluto on June 17th, and you may feel insecure or overextended in relationships. Pressure to bend rules or give beyond your means calls for establishing boundaries. Fortunately, from June 18th through August 14th, Jupiter trines Neptune, easing tensions and restoring harmony to your home and personal life. Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, casting a spotlight on truth, secrets, and shared resources. Private matters may feel more public. Opportunities for growth and prosperity, particularly with inheritances or joint ventures, are strong. Neptune stations retrograde in Aries from July 7th through December 12th, prompting you to question whether your home truly supports you. Avoid relying too heavily on past advice or family influence, especially as a parent, and instead define your own standards. Saturn stations retrograde in Aries from July 26th through December 10th, inviting you to assess whether your routines and structures support rest and sustainability. Are you close to your roots, or have you strayed from what grounds you? On August 12th, the solar eclipse in Leo may bring insider knowledge or insight that it could increase your value through visibility or brings challenges. Later, the eclipse in Pisces on August 28th culminates your work to balance practical knowledge with soul wisdom, enabling you to express your emotions and intuition with ease. Finally, Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini from September 10th through February 8th, 2027, encouraging reflection on the changes you've made to routines and life structure. Are you overcorrecting, or is balance restored? This is a time to ensure freedom is paired with efficiency and that your life flows smoothly. Overall, 2026 is a year of recalibration and grounding for Capricorn. You'll balance introspection with external responsibilities, assert your needs while honoring relationships, and navigate home, love, and shared resources. Unexpected disruptions will teach adaptability and efficiency, while eclipses illuminate your values and long-term goals. By the end of the year, you are likely to feel more aligned with your inner structure, confident in your relationships, and ready to step forward with clarity and purpose. Aquarius. For Aquarius, the year opens with a quiet but meaningful recalibration. As Jupiter moves retrograde through Cancer from November 11th through March 10th, your attention turns toward the systems that keep your life running. This is not a dramatic overhaul, but a thoughtful check-in with your routines, workload, and physical limits. You are learning to listen to your body as much as your intellect, noticing where efficiency can improve and where sustainability matters more than output. This period asks you to refine how you serve others without neglecting yourself. That internal tuning becomes more complex when Neptune enters Aries on January 26th. Your voice takes on a more inspirational tone, as though you are motivating not only others, but yourself as well. You may find yourself speaking with conviction, sometimes drawing on nostalgia or idealized versions of the past. At the same time, Neptune can blur timing and focus, making you more prone to distractions or running late. There's power in your words now, but not everything you say needs to be perfectly formed yet. When Saturn follows Neptune into Aries on February 13th, you become more intentional about what you share and when. Even though your ideas are strong, you may hold them back until the moment feels right. This transit encourages thoughtful speech, discipline in communication, and learning when silence is just as effective as expression. All of this builds toward a pivotal moment on February 17th, when the solar eclipse in Aquarius places the spotlight directly on you. This eclipse can trigger a desire to redefine your identity, sometimes with a rebellious or experimental edge. You might change your appearance, your style, or the way you present yourself to the world. Even subtle shifts do not go unnoticed. This is a moment of visibility, signaling that a new version of you is ready to emerge. Just weeks later, the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd pulls attention inward. Something private, long-held, or carefully guarded may be ready to surface. You have spent years cultivating a composed, mysterious exterior, but the eclipse reminds you that vulnerability does not diminish your power. Sharing pieces of yourself, even in small ways, can deepen trust and connection without compromising your independence. Momentum begins to return as Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 11th. After months of internal reorganization, productivity increases and clarity returns. You step back into leadership roles with a calmer, more intuitive approach, guiding projects without micromanaging and trusting your ability to pace yourself. At the same time, Uranus begins trining Pluto from March 6th through November 26th, reinforcing the idea that changes in your home or private life are actively supporting your evolving identity. Stability behind the scenes gives you permission to experiment more boldly with who you are becoming. That experimentation accelerates when Uranus enters Gemini on April 26th. After years of prioritizing comfort and security, your creative and playful side wakes up. You feel compelled to explore new interests, hobbies, and forms of self-expression. Variety is essential now, and you may find yourself sampling many pursuits rather than committing to just one. Intellectual stimulation becomes a source of joy. By mid-June, tensions arise. On June 17th, Jupiter opposes Pluto, highlighting a conflict between your desire to maintain steady routines and your longing to fully embody the identity you began reshaping earlier in the year. You may feel productive and disciplined, yet frustrated that personal reinvention keeps getting postponed. This is a moment to reassess whether efficiency is supporting your growth or quietly limiting it. Relief follows quickly. From June 18th through August 14th, Jupiter forms a trine to Neptune, opening space for creative clarity and inspired communication. You become a steady presence for others, offering guidance with compassion and intuition rather than authority. People may look to you as a leader with depth, someone who understands both practical realities and emotional undercurrents. A significant shift occurs when Jupiter enters Leo on July 30th. Attention turns toward relationships, romance, and meaningful partnerships. Whether single or coupled, you crave connection that feels bold, expressive, and genuine. Affection becomes something you are willing to show openly, and you are less interested in casual interactions than in bonds that feel cinematic and alive. Throughout the summer, Neptune and Saturn station retrograde in Aries on July 7th and July 26th, respectively, prompting reflection around a communication. You begin questioning whether your words are too idealistic, too restrained, or perfectly balanced. This period invites you to refine your message and ensure that what you say aligns with what you truly believe. The eclipse in Leo on August 12th brings a moment of heightened visibility through relationships. The version of yourself you've been quietly developing is now seen and reflected back to you through others. Attraction intensifies and emotional bonds deepen. Whether through a partner or public interaction, you feel recognized in a way that affirms your growth. Finally, the lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th offers release. After a year of working through self-worth, privacy, and vulnerability, you are ready to let go of rigid defenses around your value. You no longer feel the need to withhold or protect yourself. Emotional openness feels safer now. As Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini on September 10th and continues through early 2027, you are asked to reflect on how much stimulation is truly fulfilling. Have you taken on too much simply for the sake of novelty, or are you genuinely enjoying the journey? This final chapter of the year encourages discernment in helping you carry forward on only the pursuits that feel meaningful rather than overwhelming. Overall, 2026 is a year of conscious self and reinvention for Aquarius. You refine your systems, reshape your identity, and learn to balance independence with connection. By year's end, You stand more confidently in who you are, communicating with intention and engaging with the world from a place that feels both authentic and alive. Pisces. The year begins with a Jupiter retrograde in Cancer from November 11th through March 10th, inviting you to reconnect with what truly empowers and fulfills you. You might feel a little overwhelmed at times, longing for an outlet. This is a perfect period for a full circle moment with your inner child. Revisit past memories and think about what brought you hours of joy without needing anything in return. You may also feel drawn to step into a more caring, nurturing role for others, whether through volunteering with seniors or children, or simply offering your support to those around you. The emphasis is on discovering simple pleasures and giving yourself the permission to find joy again. When Neptune enters Aries on January 26th, a new sense of self-worth emerges. You may notice yourself valuing tradition more than usual, idealizing it almost to the point of gospel. This is a transit of subtle tension because Aries pushes you to act fast and decisively, while Neptune invites reflection and meandering. You may find yourself questioning your financial or personal security, balancing ambition with passions and self-compassion. Saturn enters Aries on February 13th, helping you anchor this uncertainty with intentional, disciplined action. Rather than rushing, Saturn encourages you to act with purpose. Pick an idea, carry it out, and see what it unfolds. Success might not arrive at the pace Aries prefers, but through steady effort, your self-worth is grounded in tangible achievement. This combination of Neptune and Saturn invites you to blend inspiration with responsibility. Dream big, but work methodically. A few days later, the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th may bring a mysterious message from spirit guides or an unexpected insight. Your unorthodox spiritual beliefs might feel validated or surprising if you share them with others. This is a reminder that your intuition and unique perspective are gifts to explore, even if they seem unconventional. By March 3rd, during the lunar eclipse in Virgo, you are called to release old relationship patterns and let go of toxic influences. Focus on your upward mobility, your aspirations, and your personal happiness. What no longer serves you must be cleared to make room for growth. From March 6th through November 26th, Uranus trines Pluto, providing a rare alignment for transformation. Your voice, practical yet unconventional, gains traction. People start to notice your insights, especially those informed by your unique spiritual or psychic perspective. Ideas that once seemed out there now carry authority, and your guidance can inspire others. With Jupiter stationing direct on March 11th, confidence and creative momentum return. Projects and relationships that felt stalled begin moving forward, and your nurturing, romantic, or artistic energies feel aligned. Uranus enters at Gemini on April 26th, potentially bringing disruptions to your home life or family routines. Roles may shift, a relative may come to stay, or domestic responsibilities may change unexpectedly. This is also a time for an intellectual expansion. Embrace new ways to learn, think, and communicate. Flexibility will be key. Mid-year, Jupiter opposes Pluto on June 17th, highlighting the tension between imagination and credibility. Your creative or spiritual insights may feel so vivid that others struggle to take them seriously. Use discernment and balance vision with grounded action. Fortunately, the Jupiter-Neptune trine from June 18th through August 14th helps you channel imagination into tangible outcomes. Your hobbies, creative projects, or entrepreneurial ventures can flourish if you approach them with strategy. This period rewards the joy of creation as long as you stay organized and focused. Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, infusing your daily life with vitality. This is a season for thriving, not just surviving. Dynamic exercise, playful routines, and a colorful, nutrient-rich diet will enhance your energy and overall well-being. Your enthusiasm becomes contagious, inspiring others to follow your lead. Neptune retrogrades in Aries from July 7th through December 12th, prompting reflection. Are you over-identifying with your achievements or ambitions? Can you be content simply by being yourself rather than chasing a singular dream or external validation? Saturn retrogrades in Aries from July 26th through December 10th. Continue the theme of reflection. Are your goals realistic, your efforts balanced, and your values sustainable? This is an opportunity to recalibrate before moving forward. The solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th encourages a productivity reset. After months of activity, you may feel the need for rest. Sleep, dream, and recharge. Your vision depends on this balance for effort and renewal. The lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th calls you to release reactive patterns and deepen self-awareness. It is a culmination of much of the year's work. Emotional authenticity and conscious action are rewarded. Finally, Uranus retrogrades in Gemini from September 10th through to February 8th, 2027, reminding you to pace yourself. Are you overextending in an effort to appear multifaceted or worldly? Take time to process changes at home and reflect with trusted loved ones. Balance curiosity and novelty with focus and groundedness. 2026 is a year of balancing dreams with practical structure. By integrating your creativity, discipline, and self-awareness, you can honor both your imagination and your responsibilities. As the year progresses, you are called to value yourself, act with intention, and achieve emotional authenticity. By year's end, you are likely to feel more grounded, aligned with your inner truth, and ready to move forward with clarity and purpose.